Hey, well, welcome back to the RV Solar channel once again, and we're working on a van here that I know a lot of you love working on vans, doing your own vans, and this is the video for you, especially if you're in the beginning stages, because what we're doing here is taking over a project a little bit that never really started, and nothing against who was starting on this. Everybody starts somewhere, everybody's making decisions, and we're going to talk about some of the decisions that were made here and what maybe we would do different and what maybe we are going to do different. So if that's of any interest to you at all, continue to watch for sure. Leave some comments, some questions down below, and if you think about it while you're watching, maybe subscribe. But maybe this is too early in the video to even ask for that, so we'll talk about that later maybe. All right, we have a Mercedes Sprinter van. This is definitely the longer one. I'm wondering if this 2500 here means 25 feet. It's definitely long. We got it in the shop is about as far as we could. Customer's already got a great start here for us. Spray foamed in completely. That's beautiful. Love that. Definitely do it. Furred out. That's looking good. Some wiring done. And so pretty much we're taking it from here. This is going to be a 24 volt system. They've got some batteries there. We'll get into that. That's going to be a little bit tricky, but we're going to be able to make it work. Not a problem. Still not quite sure exactly where we're going to put them. Got to talk to the customer on that. Dave, again, is over here. He's working on what we're going to be talking about here in a moment. Plan is we're going to put a lot of the electrical components on this side. I definitely recommend that because that's typically what we would call utility side. If you go to a campground, all your utilities are going to be on the driver's side, your electrical, water, all that hookup. So it makes most sense just to keep your electrics over there. And then when this is camp side, keep all your, a lot of your camping stuff this side. So that just makes more sense. So we're going to be putting the electrical stuff here, and the way we like to do it is we're going to be putting together a board to install all this onto and then put the board on there. Or at the very least, we're going to be laying out the components. So what we did was Dave took measurements here painstakingly, and we transferred those over to our workbench assembly table, and that's how we're going to decide what goes where. And that's what Dave is in the process of doing here. Customer already had supplied a breaker box here, and this is a typical household breaker box. This is one of those things, I don't know that I would do that. I feel like there are some better solutions, and we may do something different. We're just not sure yet. I will show you a couple of those different items here in a moment. Also, one of the other things I do a little bit differently is customer has supplied one of these. Also not a big fan of these. I'll show you some alternatives to those in a moment. But before we do that, here's what we did, because working here is a lot more easier than working in there. And that's not all that hard, but Dave drew out some markings here on this table with where those boxes are, so we can kind of figure out how everything can work. Very nice. Look at that. We're doing some arts and crafts here today. So again, 24 volt system. We've got a solar charger. We're going to be putting a solar rack up on this thing with some solar. The 3000 Multi Plus. I think we're going to add a Serbo GX to it as well, with a touchscreen and a lot of fun stuff. But for right now, we're just trying to lay this out. So give us some time to work through this, and we will be back. All right, one thing led to another here, and we just decided we would demonstrate some better ways to do things, maybe, at least in our opinion. And our opinion is just that, our opinion. Everyone has one. You can have your own, but here's some things to think about, okay? So a lot of people doing a standard AC outlet. Now this van is currently wired for 4 circuits. I don't even necessarily know you need 4 circuits. I think you can get away with almost 2, depending on what you have in there. I would do a circuit on one side and on the other at a minimum. Maybe add another one if you got an induction cooktop or something like that. But if you don't, overwiring is not a bad thing, okay? So anyway, 4 circuits. This takes up a lot of room, and put all your normal household breakers in there. Or you can do something more like this. This is more common in the industrial, European, and boating, I believe, some too. DIN rail style breakers and a box. You see this in the solar world quite a bit as well, and we'll get to that where this could be combined to be even more efficient. So this is what these breakers would look like. So we got 4 independent circuits and a main here. And as you can tell, takes up a lot less room, a lot less depth, and, well, I guess you'd still get that. I was going to say you get indication on there which one is flipped or not, but you would get that here as well. These inserts come out, and then you can see through this frosted glass a little bit if you got something that's blown, which is important. So we may be moving to this on this one, in part because we haven't purchased the breakers yet. Then the other one comes to DC distribution. See a lot of bus bars because we see a lot of these in builds, and we don't see, well, we do see a lot of Lynx distributors too, but we see a lot of folks say, well, this is $200, actually it's just a little over $200 right now, okay? And that is a steal, an absolute steal when you really start to add it up and you think about the space. So what this is, as you can see, it's a positive, negative bus bar. We got a positive and negative bus bar, but this also has circuit protection. Here's how you'd accomplish the same circuit protection. As you can tell, you got a lot of stuff there and you got to wire it all together. And it is kind of nice as far as you can see where each wire goes, but functionally you get the same thing here. And what's nice is it's much more compact because the wiring system on here is somewhat layered, right? So your positives go on the bottom, negatives on the bottom, positives on the top. Here, it's kind of a wiring mess. We've done bus bars before, but you end up having to space things out quite a bit because you got to have room for your wires to come in and out of both sides of it. Here, pretty much it's just one side. So we may lean into this and talk to the customer about maybe using this. It would be my recommendation to do this. When you add it all up, I mean, yeah, these are 25, 30 bucks, maybe 50 at the most. You know, these are 25, 50 bucks at the most per. It ends up being about the same, if not cheaper to go this way. Now you do have to buy fuses, but you got nice fuse holders there. So that's my recommendation on that one. Then the last thing I want to chat about here real quick was DC, smaller load DC distribution. And we see these a lot, and they're not bad. I think there's a good chance that we're going to use this one. I like the indicators on which fuse is blown. However, for smaller loads, especially where mistakes can happen in your wiring, your fuse choices, all that kind of stuff where they can blow, and it's a pain in the butt. A lot of times I see these put in places that it is hard to get to, and you've got to change a fuse, and it's hard to do. So I love that little things like this. This is a DC distribution panel. I think we've talked about it or shared it before. Bear got a hold of this one a little bit, so there's some chew marks on it. So it's my demonstration model. But Bear is our dog, not an actual bear. He hasn't been in the episode yet. But when it's energized, and there's indicators, so you get switches, and these are all circuit breakers here. These are all resettable circuit breakers. And they're labeled on there anywhere from 15 to 5 amps. So you get plenty of circuits, most vans. You don't need much more than this. You got some lights, you got a water pump, diesel air heater maybe, some other things like that. And you can get some built-in, one of these plugs or one of these plugs and a little voltage readout, which is kind of nice. Now this is going to be a 24 volt system, so it's going to be a steady 13.8 volts all the time. But those are some things I'd consider if I was building my own van today. I would lean more into this stuff. I would definitely use one of these. We do like to use these breakers on occasion, and we'll probably still end up with potentially a 12 volt bus bar, although I think this is probably going to act as a 12 volt bus bar. Not saying, we, in our shelf of stuff here, we have these. We use them. But I would say we reflexively use these a lot more. What else? Oh, last thing. Main fuse. So this is a 200 amp DC circuit breaker. Very heavy duty. The little A&L fuses that you see. Do we have the customers here? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy right here. Oh, I don't like this for a number of reasons, actually. I do not like these screw-down terminals. This is made for audio equipment, like big amps and stuff. And anyone who's done a their first stereo install as a kid has definitely melted wire. Yeah, we've both been there. And part of it is you're just trying to run too much power through some of these connectors. I mean, I'm sure these can be good if installed correctly, but most people don't. In our experience, these fuses tend to get really, really hot if you're trying to use them. And the wiring gauge is too small here.
Case in point.
Oh, well, that was from something else.
Yeah, this was not installed properly in the voltage. And the amperage that was running through that was melt marks on there.
Definitely could have. So anyway, we like to use a circuit breaker like this as opposed to this. Now, obviously, does it win on size? No. But what it does win on is if something happens, you just reset it. It stays cooler, and you don't have to change a fuse. Now, I know maybe what some of you are thinking is, well, okay, you're kind of scatterbrained or half-brained about some of this. You got breakers here, you like breakers here, you like breakers here, but why are there fuses here? That's a good question. I really wish there was a way to incorporate breakers into something like this as well. Until that time, what I tend to do is I think of this as more higher load disaster type fusing. We oversize our cables so these fuses pretty much never blow. However, on these smaller loads, when you're installing lights and stuff and screwing around, it's extremely common to pop a little fuse or little things like that. These seem to pop way more. Your AC circuit breaker, nobody uses AC fuses anymore. I'm not going to make that argument there. But these fuses are more, I would say, like, if one of these pops, something catastrophic has gone wrong. It's not the end of the world to have to change one. The good news is with the link system and our LED light adapter, you do get the lights working on here, so you do know if a fuse is blown. So that's about all I have to say on this. And I think we're going to try and make a plan on this and move forward. So stick around if you want to see how it goes. All right, we put our heads together, and I think this is what we're going to do for the layout on everything. We actually weren't sure how we were going to do the batteries, but we kind of came up with an idea, and we're going to go for it. Hopefully the customer's cool with it. So here's the idea. Doing links distributor upside down. We do that quite a bit. I'm going to make the executive decision, and we're going to go with that. I think that's going to be a better play. And then the reason why I like to do it upside down, I think it makes perfect sense here. We use the old Sharpie markers on the table. Don't worry, it all comes off. I'm not ruining my table. But just to give you an idea of kind of how the wiring would end up going, and then typically we use raceway on all these open channels. And yeah, we got our disconnect here. We want that as close as we can to the batteries. Don't worry, this was not us. Wasn't us. But I'm not saying I haven't done it, okay? I'm not throwing stones at how this happened, but I think there's a reason why we're doing this. We've all done things like that. Anyway, I think this is what we're going to do. And Dave's going to get to work on putting together the board, and we even came up with an interesting idea on how to secure these, but I'm going to make you wait to the end of the video or whenever we show how we secure these batteries down. All right, it has been a hot minute here. I got sick a little bit, as you can probably tell, but the bear, he's still doing all right. So far, I haven't gotten Dave sick either. So anyway, we're getting this board here put in. Wanted to review kind of everything we did. Got our links distributor here, our big nice breaker. A lot of times when we install these, we remove the heavy stuff, so that way it's a lot easier to put it in. But pre-wired it, had it all on here initially. Multiplus will go here. We got the solar charger, the step up converter from the alternator, and the step down converter to give the 12 volt to the 12 volt breaker or fuse panel over there. And we did end up going with this for the AC system, and I think this is going to work out well. And then with the solar breaker right there, makes it feel all nice and official. And then we got the battery balancer here. Remember, that's doing for these batteries, and this is kind of the battery fixment that we're going with for right now. I think we might end up with a some stands here to support the batteries as well, but we'll see once we get it in there. And yeah, that's it on that. We do have the 30 amp connection made here. Dave did a great job on this. So, and then, yeah, that comes right in through here. We'll probably have to put some foam back in there, but and then we cleaned up the foam here a little bit. And yeah, so that's where all those AC connections are coming out. We'll run those into the box, and we're going to be in business here. It's going to be great. Sorry for the lack of progress updates here, but this bugger is almost done. I'm going to take care of a couple more things, but thought I'd go over where we're at on this. Dave's done pretty much the majority of this work. He's done a great job on this. So let's review some of the finer points of this. Got our links on here, although a little power LED isn't on, so I will take a look at that, see what's going on there. We got our AC breakers here. I'll put the cover on this. Oh, and you just probably heard or saw that there. That means that guy's doing his job, but we'll get to him. So our AC breakers, this is the way we like to do our, if I was building a van or a bus conversion today, I would use these style breakers, not the home style ones. Just so many more configurations, and if you can plan it right, you can incorporate your AC, your DC, and even maybe PV in similar boxes. Or it's just I feel like it's a much better form factor for working with this kind of stuff. It's used in the industrial markets, boating, and other areas as well. Got the DC distribution block put together, and these wires extended. They weren't quite long enough. That would be my other tip to you who are building a van. Leave plenty of length for yourself. I know you might be worried about running short on wires, but you're better off having a pile of scrap than having to splice so much like we had to do here a little bit. What else? We tested our 12 volt to 24. Ran the cable for that down here along the wall and up underneath. I got the servo going here. I do need to put a little bit of glue on these so they don't come out, because that can happen. But the here he is. But the screen is working here, and this is pretty much the interface we're working with these days. I do like this one quite a bit. It kind of makes the need for the GUI mods a little bit redundant, so we're rolling with this. You can still use the other version for the time being. I don't know how long that will last, but this is here and working well. And we don't have this installed because it's not finished yet. We don't know how it's going to go, and I try not to make too many of those decisions without the customer here or making those decisions. Solar disconnect, that's one of the things I have yet to do. We're going to run the solar wires up through here, probably through that box up there, and we're going to mount right up in there somewhere for those. All right, been teasing it long enough. So, battery balancer. What you do is you take a line from the 0, which would be the main negative here. On this battery, these are the two 24, or sorry, these are the two 12 volt batteries. These two here are 24, those are just put in parallel. Then these two are put in series and then in parallel with those. And the way it ends up working is, yeah, the battery balancer, you need one of those because these are two independent batteries and there's nothing to keep them in balance. When we first put a charge on this system, this battery came up to about 13.9 volts, and this one is 14.4 or so, giving us about 28.3 all said and done. You don't want that. It's not the end of the world in lithium at that state of charge, but ideally we want them the same. And so what this guy does is when one of the batteries is of a greater voltage, it actually burns off some of the extra energy from the higher battery as heat, and then it allows the lower battery to continue to charge. But it only does, I think it burns off maybe 5 amps. So it does take time, but just give it time. It's been working out for a couple hours, and we no longer have an imbalance condition. If you hear the relay and the lights light up and click a little bit, that just means it's doing its job. So now these batteries. If you remember earlier, we were putting together this board on the table, and we kind of came up with a 2020 extruded aluminum battery fixation, whatever we want to call it, apparatus to hold these batteries. And believe me, these are strong and sturdy. This board is not going anywhere. It pretty much rocks the entire van. If I pull on it, we stress tested it quite a bit. These are all pressure fit in there. I realized that the end of this van may hit some potholes and some bumps, so there's going to be anywhere from 2 to 3 times of the weight coming down or from side to side, depending on the G loads. And so we also have a support here, and this is kind of locking that in place there. Oh, see there, that goes a little bit. It's just doing its job. So that should be pretty good. What we tried to do in this sort of build was to maximize the floor space here, because this customer is into dirt biking, and they're planning on having at least 1, maybe 2 dirt bikes in here, and their bed's going to be pretty high up here. So that was kind of the plan, keep some floor space down there so they could store whatever they need, floor space over there, and yeah, good to go there. All right, we got the solar port hole drilled here. And what I like to do is take a little piece of cable wrap. Oh, dropped it. But and then you just kind of put it on the inside of that hole as a grommet. And I like to do this because otherwise I just never know the different holes we're going to have to make and what we encounter. So it's a good way to protect it. You just kind of go around there and then you trim off what you don't need. So that's how I do it. Learn that from Airstream. See, now look at that. How neat is that? All right, we got our roof port in here, and I did leave these a little bit loose. They should be loose, yeah. So we can pull a little bit out. That way, customer can put their panels up here. They're gonna end up doing the rack themselves, so we're out of that job. But we did get the roof port wired up, so they're good to go there. So here's how that wire came down. Ran it behind here. Probably just loop it around here. Again, who knows what's going to happen here, so I'm trying to leave some extra. I know it's not usually the way we end up doing things, but got all the covers on here now, and I'd say this is about done as it's going to be. I think everything looks a lot better with all the covers on and all that, and I think when the customer builds out the rest of it, it's going to look so sharp. Well, look who decided to make another appearance. We got the barrier. And we got Zuki over there doing stuff. So, yeah, they came just in time for the end of the video here. Well, we got it out in the back of the shop. That means it is pretty much done. So from all of us here at Soda Solar, that's spelled like it is on my sweatshirt here. Loved having you. Hope you're doing well. If you need any help on anything you got related to this sort of stuff, check us out at sodasolar.com. There's plenty of ways to contact me. Just don't show up at my driveway pounding on the door at like 10, 11 o'clock at night. I won't really mind so much, but Bear over there, he might not be too happy with you, so, you know, beware there. I'm kidding. Anyway, we will check you next time. See you next time. All that kind of stuff. Take care.